And we are live and a few minutes late. I have my tea, making sure I have plenty hydrated. And welcome to the show. Wow, here we are, part 3 of this week's 3-part training series on how to clear the mind during stressful times. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the impact of a clear mind during stress. And I know we talked a little bit about this in part 1, which is talking about the why. But I think today what we're going to go into more is exploring the more profound impacts and long-term effects of having a clear mind during stress or maintaining a clear mind during stress. And also some of the things that you want to look for to just kind of validate that what you're doing is keeping your mind clear. In case this is your first time joining us here on the Six Figure Academy YouTube channel, welcome. My name is Wei, CEO and co-founder of the Six Figure Academy. And we specialize at the Six Figure Academy in helping entrepreneurs such as yourself monetize their dreams and execute their genius by, one, reducing stress and keeping a clear mind, and also eliminating bad money stories that lead to money anxiety, stress, and worry. If this is not your first time joining us, welcome back. If you haven't subscribed already to our channel, we're going to be putting out a bunch more content during these times as a way to support. So this week's support training is part of that process. Part 1, part 2, part 3 is a 3-part series, and here we are. Okay, so make sure you subscribe. Click the notification to make sure that you get notified every time we put out new content to help you expand your horizons as an entrepreneur. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the impact of a clear mind during stress. Let's do a little bit of review of what we've covered thus far, because this is the third part. This is the final part of the 3-part series. In part 1, we talked about why it's important to have a clear mind during stressful times. And the reason why we talk about that first is if we don't set the framework for your mind, for your understanding, for your unconscious mind, it takes away the ability to sustain long-term results in any endeavor, okay? Especially if you want to incorporate new strategies or techniques to maintain clarity of mind during stress. We posed a couple questions as homework afterwards about, getting specific, like what are you specifically stressed out about? A lot of times, remember, when people get stressed out, they don't know specifically what they're stressed out about. I mean, next time you encounter somebody who's totally stressed out and then you ask them, what specifically are you stressed out about? And observe the way they answer and see if it's using nebulous, broad terms or it's very, very specific. Sometimes people are, sometimes people aren't. Okay. The next question after that on that same training from part 1 was also to have you think about what was your intention for having a clear mind. Why is it that you want to have a clear mind during stressful times? Everybody is different. And it's about owning that intention. Then we gave you a couple days or day, and we went with part 2, which was giving you the techniques on how to actually do that, how to actually keep a clear mind during high stress. So the questions after that, after we presented a whole bunch of different ways and tools and resources for you, and if you haven't had a chance to see that, go ahead and watch that again. What you want to do is the questions we asked after that was, well, how do you know to be stressed out? What we started to do is pose these questions and gave you questions to ask yourself so that you can deconstruct your methodology of becoming stressed out or being stressed out. In fact, the second question we asked was, well, how do you do it? Which is encouraging you to break it down to a step-by-step process. In other words, if you were to sit down and teach, and teach someone else how to get stressed out or how to be stressed like you, how would you teach them to do it? I know it seems weird that you want to teach someone in an unproductive state, but the process of breaking that down to kind of task yourself with, okay, if I was to teach somebody on how to be stressed out like me, how would I do it? actually helps you deconstruct so you can then interrupt your own pattern of stress so that you can open up the mind, clear it out of all the clutter during high stress times. Okay? Which brings us then to today's training, which is part 3 of the Clear Your Mind During Stressful Times series. And that is understanding the impact of a clear mind during stress. It's a little bit like part 1, but let's just kind of do a review about what that looks like, okay? The best time to establish some solid stress management skills is kind of like now. Okay? It's easy to not work on it when things aren't stressful. But then those are actually the ideal times to do it, but nobody really does it. Nobody really sits there and works on stress management techniques when they're not being stressed out. Unfortunately, we live in a society that kind of is a post-mortem reactionary society. I mean, case in point, look at what's happening in the world. Okay? And then what happens is it makes it this has us in this state of stress, making decisions while in the state of stress. And if you don't have stress management skills built in already, then it becomes like a dog chasing its tail. Okay? Now, since you have access to the resources that we covered this week, you'll probably have a better time managing it despite being stressed out if you happen to be stressed out. Okay? The max impact that you can get is actually working on it right now. Okay, so let me clear my throat a little bit. Get a sip of tea. The impact of having a clear mind during stress is akin to like if you've ever been hiking or if you ever walked down a cluttered path somewhere where you have to actually be focused on making sure you don't trip over anything. Those of you who are parents who have kids that leave toys all over the place, it's kind of like that. You have to kind of pay attention. But I still remember going hiking and everything, and when on the hiking path, it's not always the clearest things on the path, and if you're not present, you're likely to trip over things. I know in Taiwan, for example, sometimes you have to you always have to pay attention because literally poisonous snakes will cross the path, and if you happen to step on it, they'll flip around and bite you. Okay, so having a clear mind is akin to being present and being focused while you're walking down a path. In life, it's kind of like that. Stress is just another obstacle. Okay, stressful times, stressful circumstances, high stress situations are literally obstacles being thrown on your path. The way to navigate that is being able to have that clear mind to see everything that's going in front of you, that's happening in front of you. The impact of having a clear mind means that you're able to navigate things in a more gracefully easy way in life versus if you think about ever try to stumbling through the dark, tripping over things just to go to turn on the light switch at your house, okay? If that has ever happened to you, then yeah, comment below. Let me know. Give me a situation. Tell me what that was like, okay? In essence, when you have a cluttered mind, when your mind is not clear during stressful times, it's like stumbling through the dark, trying to find the light switch and then tripping over everything along the way, which then adds to the stress, adds to the anxiety, which then has you potentially making decisions that isn't quite the best. Okay? Having a clear mind is like having that night light on, so like even in the middle of the night you can get up, you can still see. In the darkest of times, you will still be able to see a pathway out. Okay, take that in for a little bit. A clear mind during stressful times means that in the darkest of times in any area of life, you can still see the way out. And the way to calibrate that is to have a daily practice in place to notice the impact of having a clear mind on a daily basis. What happens is what you can look for is this. When you have a clear mind on a daily basis with the daily life stressors, your daily intentions and goals that you set, the clearer your mind, the higher the frequency that you hit your goals. Okay, think about that for a moment. One way to calibrate as to whether or not you're doing a good job clearing your mind is see how frequently, how often you hit all your intentions and goals for the day, for the week, for the month. And what we see in consistently across the board with our students and clients is that when the mind is clear, the goals are hit. When the mind is clear, the intentions are achieved. Solutions have been solved. The more clear my clients and students' minds are, the less I actually have to step in to coach, to guide. They actually are able to see the pathways of solution themselves. It's when the mind gets cluttered with all that extra, like we mentioned a couple days ago, it's like when the sand and the dirt of thoughts that sit there and get stirred up with emotion, it gets murky. All the teachings and all the learnings go out the window because all they can see is the murk. Is that even a word? The murk? The murkiness. The murkiness. Okay. So if you think about that, that means your intuition is also gets cluttered. And so what you think might be what your intuition is telling you, your intuition is telling you one thing, and then your gut instinct, and then it's filtered through all this murkiness. Clearing the mind means you have easier access to precise intuitive hits. Okay, those gut instinct hits. Your intuition actually becomes more accurate. So one way to calibrate on the impact is to kind of respond to your intuition and see how accurate it is. You'll know you're doing a good job clearing the mind during stressful times that despite the times being stressful, your intuition is still spot on. Okay? And not spot on being that you're the only one that's validating and nobody thinks you did it. Everybody else is thinking, oh my God, you're like psychic. You'll have psychic-like abilities, not just only to intuit your next steps, but also be able to kind of predict best courses of actions coming down. You can see further ahead. Think about what happens when you clear the fog out of a road. You clear the debris off the road, and all you have is the road. How much further can you see? I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and we were talking about the Hollywood sign and whether or not, the way he actually is my business partner that said that the way he calibrates on how clear the LA pollution haze is how far he can see past the Hollywood sign, or whether or not he can even see the Hollywood sign. Prior to all what is going on in the world right now, where human beings have been kind of forced to take a break from the world, he said it's not often that he's able to see the Hollywood sign from where he lives. He was telling me yesterday he not only can see the Hollywood sign, he can see beyond that. He can see the mountains behind the Hollywood sign, which is, he says he almost never sees that. Okay. What happens when we have a clear mind during stressful times is we could see further out. We can anticipate more of what may or may not happen, which then, of course, perpetuates your ability to not be stressed out because you can see clearly now. The rain is gone. Okay? So as a result, you'll be more present, you'll be more calm, and of course, your stress levels will go down. Imagine that. And all it takes is what? To have protocols in place and procedures in place, which we've talked about on clearing the mind on a regular basis. How do we manage our stress? Do we keep the mind clear? Does it mean you'll never be stressed out again? No. It just means that you won't stay stressed for as long. You'll be able to manage it by simply releasing the pressure, taking out what's on your mind, and you'll be more present and calm, and your stress levels will go down. Over time, what is that going to impact? Everything. Having a clear mind allows you to make better decisions when it comes to your business, your work, your productivity, your money. It's interesting, when I was talking to some of our networking groups yesterday, and I was observing the differences between those who were stressing out about circumstances and those who were staying calm and keeping a clear mind, and the types of decisions they discussed about making when it came to their finances. And it completely ran the gambit. It ran from people wanting to completely hoard money and take money out of all their accounts and liquidate, to people looking forward to the next best investment, to people who are wanting to spend more money than they should be spending. It was all over the place. And I could tell just from those behavior patterns who was maintaining a clear mind during these stressful times and who wasn't. Over time, your wealth will get better. And think about when your mind is clear and your stress levels are low, Over time, how does that then impact your health? At the end of the day, your body heals better when it's calm, when it's relaxed, when it's healthy. And don't even get me started about relationships. When you're calm and relaxed in relationships and you're not agitated, you're not frustrated, and you're not stressed out, and you're not snapping back at those that you love and care about, what do you think that's going to do over time as you stay calm and collected during any stressful time during relationships? Okay? During relationships, within your relationships. Okay. So over time, the impact is going to be extremely profound. So it's not just for now. I mean, it's great for now, these techniques and processes for managing stress during stressful times. But imagine applying these principles even when it's not super stressful and just applying it as a daily practice. That's the key. That's the goal. That's what we're trying to do here, is trying to give you as many tools as possible. So not only that you can navigate these current times, but you can also work on your future potential other stressful times. I am reminded when I'm talking about this, clearing the mind and staying calm during stressful times. Remember, the last training I talked about, it can be stressful outside, but it doesn't have to be stressful inside. Okay. Reminds me a lot of when I was being taught by one of my teachers, coaches, and colleagues of play sand volleyball. For those of you who don't know, I like to play sand volleyball. And one of the things about sand volleyball, what makes it tough, is there's usually only 2 people on the court if you're playing competitive sand volleyball. And so 2 people literally have to cover all the court. If you can imagine, during gameplay, it can be a little bit chaotic. And so one of the things he was helping me with was ball control, which was passing the ball, having the arms extended and passing the ball. And I was having trouble maintaining my intention of where I wanted the ball to go. Every time the ball came, the ball was flying all over the place. He says, your mind is not here. Be present. And so I was present, but then I was too still. And then he goes, no. There's something interesting you have to understand. You still need to move your feet. But as I was thinking about this, but my feet are going to be moving all over the place. How do I maintain this? That's the rub. While the world, your feet, is, scrambling to kind of create stability or figure out what's going on, because when you're playing volleyball, you're not looking at your feet because then you'll miss the ball. Your eye is always on the ball, what the players are doing across the way. So your feet have to be just scrambling and moving quickly to adapt to the changing landscape, because it's on sand, right? It's constantly changing. There's dips, there's heights, there's hills, and everything, like mini dunes, if you will. He says, as crazy and chaotic your feet are, your platform, your upper body is always flat and calm. It's always calm on top. It's always calm on top. It's always clear on top, regardless of what is going on around you. When that happens, you have clarity. You can see things coming. You can anticipate potential shifts and changes to the game, potential shifts and changes to your life, to your business. That is impact. And we see it in so many different things. That's why there's so many different metaphors out there to help you understand just how profoundly important it is to keep a clear mind at all times, to be present, to be aware, to be able to make the best decisions for you and not have to rely on asking someone else for the answer, because the answers are all within you. So I think that's basically it for this 3-part series. Wanted to jump on and kind of wrap things up with talking about the impact, giving you a few things to pay attention to so that you know what to look for. Okay. And I guess, true to form, I should probably leave you with a couple things to think about. Okay. Go through all the questions we talked about in part 1 and part 2. And in part 3, today's training, I want you to start paying attention to your daily goals and start to keep a record of how often you hit it. When the frequency of how often you achieve your goals, how accurate your intuitive hits are, your gut instincts and things that are coming in, Keeping track of how accurate and how frequent you are on point with that is a great way to measure the impact and how well you're doing, and validating all that you're doing to clear your mind during stressful times. And even when you're not doing it during stressful, there's daily stresses that come in. Okay, it doesn't have to be a high stress time like what we're dealing with in the world right now. It could just simply be daily stressors. And there are daily stresses. You might get into it with someone that you love and care about. You might deal with something at work. You might be dealing with something, not feel so good and have to figure out what to do about your health. Calibrate and start keeping track of what in business we like to call KPIs, or key performance indicators, which is for you would be to how often are you achieving your goals? How accurate is your intuition and your gut instincts? Okay. And just look at the overall improvement as your life continues to improve, what that calm, clear state of mind is doing to help you manage your stress. So, hopefully you found this training to be helpful. Again, we're going to be starting to do more of these types of mini training series to help support as many people as possible, especially during these times. If you liked it, would love to hear your comments below on any of the trainings. Share this if you feel that this is something that could help somebody in terms of impacting their life as well. Other than that, have a fantastic day. Go through the trainings again if you need to. Ask any questions that you can, or tag us on the comments. And we look forward to continuing to support you moving forward. Remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell. All right. Other than that, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Yeah. End. Is that it?